Pull up a chair. This is Fluxtaposed episode 238, recorded on November 20th, 2018. On the docket today, we have IRL. We'll have another game that made us. What You Playing, featuring Altered Carbon and Black Sad. And finally, we're going to close out that show with the community grab bag and that sweet, awkward finish. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And enjoy the show. Welcome back to another episode of Fluxtaposed. We are thrilled to have you here. I am Jason Lacey, and I am joined by my best bud, Mr. Lucas Rose.
Greetings! Hi.
Oh, hey there.
Oh, hello. How are you doing?
I am superb. I'm spectacular. How are you?
Superb. You look superb.
Well, thank you. Ooh, you have a Dr. Pepper there.
The doctor is in. He's the one they call Dr. Feelgood.
I have a beer here I've never heard of before.
I couldn't tell what it was.
Called Aleman.
Oh my god.
It's actually Aleman's the brewing company. It's called Soul Man, and it's from
right about
Soul
now.
Man. It's from
Funk
Aleman Brewing Company out of Chicago. This is a salted caramel brown ale.
Ooh, that sounds good.
I don't get much salted or caramel, but I mean it's still, in terms of a brown ale aesthetic, it's all right.
I can give you my salty caramel.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
You sure?
No. Well, there you go. We're in the Fluxtaposed Gambit. We're happy you guys are here. If you're watching live in the Twitch chat, hello to you all. If you're listening to it on your favorite podcast app, hello to you all as well. Happy early American Thanksgiving. That's what we're doing this week.
America.
The feastings are here. Let's get the announcements all the way. Folks, we'd love to have you on Discord. Hit us up at fluxtaposed.com/Discord. Get your instant invite into the channel of awesomeness where you can, boy, I don't know. We had a lot of weird things happening this week, I would say. In terms of like conversation, so it's always a fun thing to have. But we'd love to have you join there. You know, it's fun time. We do it, and we do have a Patreon for this here show. And because of you awesome people, we have hit our $90 goal, which did get us the Fluxtaposed AMA. We are working on ironing out the details. We are going to film this. We want this to be separate content. We want to be more special than just us recording it live, doing it like this and pushing out the feeds. We want it to be a little more than that. So possibly sometime in December. If not, we'll get it done in January. We're going to sit down with our good friend Mike. We work on it at Battle of the Beer.
Friend.
Yep. Sorry, Lucas. Oh, and he will be fielding the producer status of that. So we'll find a way. I got to think of a way to get the questions to him without, because I want us to go in blind. So
just make a special Gmail address and only he has access to it.
Yeah,
so everybody. I know email is like the new snail mail, but
yeah, we could just purposely set up Fluxtaposed AMA at Gmail or something like that. So
yes,
stay tuned for our social media and on this podcast, of course, for more details on that. And thank you again for your support, because we wouldn't have done it without you. And that leads us to the December giveaway, which we gave details on last week's show, I believe. I believe it was last week's show. Please tell me I'm right.
Yes.
And how you can enter that. Patrons, remember, you are automatically entered. But the rest of yous, if you want to get entered, you got to dial it, because we're going to give away a physical game, because that's what we want to do, because you're all awesome. So now that that's out of the way, let's talk some IRL. Let's see what's been going on in the lives of your two fantastic hosts of this podcast. Lucas. I was on the roof this week.
Hell, that's a bad time to be on the roof.
Because what's Fluxtaposed without some
home
DIY home improvements? No, I finally cleaned out my gutters. I was like, I should probably do that before winter comes.
Is that a euphemism? Oh,
no,
you meant
it's
your
not
actual,
a euphemism.
Okay.
I was on the roof and getting all the leaves and junk out of the gutters.
Did you have a tool, or did you use the old scooping hand?
Well, in years past, I've had my father-in-law's leaf blower because his is gas powered, and you're just like, and you're done in 2 seconds.
Okay.
This year I didn't have that. I mean, my leaf blower, I do have one that's kind of stinks, but I have one, but it's electrical, and I didn't want to deal with, especially on the back roof. I don't think I have a long enough extension cord to hit all those hard to reach areas. You know.
How'd that new roof look up there, by the way? I mean, new. I say new.
It looks the same. The flashing around my chimney looks good because that's new.
The chimney.
So having those leaks that I made them fix for free.
For free?
But no, I had like a little garden shovel that fit perfectly, like down under the scoop, and I just threw stuff. It was fine, you know, whatever. And then in a couple spots, there was like it was worse. I took a garden hose and just flushed them, and that worked too. They're probably long overdue because I never cleaned them in the spring.
Oh.
So
you know, it's like
so
it's all their own little what are those things where you have your leaves in your garbage and you're just constantly having to turn compost. Yeah, each one has its own little compost heap.
I think I'm gonna have to get some Flex Seal up in there though. You know, patch up some
leaks,
some areas. Except it's funny because on my, you know, you've been to my house. My back porch has, you know, an L system on the gutter, and the one side is definitely not. It's like perfectly level, so it barely drains. So that's always just got standing water, and it's just like dumb.
You should
dumb.
You should fix that.
I was gonna say
I was gonna say you should if it's not in a place where you have to worry about too much water coming down, you could just drill a small little tiny hole so it just goes bloop 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 bloop.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was just gonna.
But then that kind of defeats the purpose of a gutter. So I don't know if that's good.
I could.
Any gutter specialists out there? Let us know.
Like make my own gutter, right? I mean, how hard can it be? That's what I wonder. It really should have a second drain. I think on that end. That seems like it would make more sense to me.
I did it in the front door on the front door because I got tired of all the ice buildup that occurs right there, and I do need to seal some of it because I wasn't sure if you're supposed to seal it or not, but it works for the most part. I mean, it keeps off the water from the parts where you don't want water to be, so that's good, right?
That's good.
That's what you want. So
yeah, and really, I mean, that's it, man. I'm looking forward to some time off. I'm working tomorrow, and then I have Thursday and Friday off. Obviously, Thursday's the holiday, so I should have that off. But then,
well, this is the calm before the storm, Jason. I need you to write down every hilarious thing that happens because it's family time next week.
And you know this is the calm before the storm. Like December is going to be nutso. Between work and the move. Well, that's if we can move in December. I really think one of the contractors is going to get behind. I really think something's going to get delayed. There's no way that the carpet's going to get put in, new drywall, electrical, ceiling, kitchen remodel. Something's going to go wrong there.
You got to drag out the one that's failing in front of all the other contractors. Get that baseball bat out and you say, listen up. I want to make an example.
You know, I actually prefer like a King Leonidas kick into a pit. You know,
I got you.
The big boot. This is Ally Logistics.
Oh, nice.
That's what I got, man.
Okay. Well,
let's talk. Did you have it?
I have it. Yeah, I have it.
You do. Okay. Perfect.
I almost didn't add it, but Danette was because I did the whole. Hey, Danette, did anything happen to me today or this week that I should talk about today? As if she should know.
She should.
First of all, though, I want to talk about a little thing that happened to me. I decided, you know what? I don't know why. I've been in this mood, this cinematic, wanting to upgrade my home theater mood. And I finally said, you know what? I'm going to commit my personal funds. I get a personal allowance. I do the budgeting. So
of course you get a personal
if I want a personal allowance, I just make up however much.
None for the wife.
Guess we're not going to be eating any groceries this week because I need $200. No. But I just basically committed myself to I'm not buying beer right now. That's saving me a lot of money. So I decided that I was going to upgrade my audio system because I've had problems with trying to use my computer as a home theater system and do it that way. So I just decided, you know what? But I do have my computer hooked up to my TVs. I like to play some of my PC games that you can use a controller with that way.
Yeah, makes sense. It's probably easier than dealing with Steam, dealing with the Steam Link.
Yes, it is. And I still use that upstairs every once in a great while, but not much anymore. But yeah, and I mean, I'm just like most people who say, oh, I don't want to sit in front of a computer or at a computer desk and play video games. You know, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So this just makes everything much easier, much cleaner in the long run. And so I committed to it. Well, that's not the. I mean, that's good. I'm great. I'm very happy with what I did. Sound quality is so much better. I like to joke about how it sounds really great at 5 volume level out of 100 because I can't turn it up very loud. But Sunday I had a day off to myself. Nobody was here, and I watched 2 movies that I'll talk about later. And I cranked that bitch, and you better believe some windows were rattling.
Hyper violent and strong sexual content.
Hell
have no
yeah.
doubt.
You know it, dude. It's the only things I watch. Pornography is what I'm saying. Or is that what you're saying? Anyways.
Yeah.
You haven't lived until you watch porn at full volume on a home theater system. Anyways, so I do all this. And we have had a TV upstairs that has been on its last legs. Some of the backlights have gone out. Old Vizio TV. Very happy with it. I say old. 4 years old. I mean, that's old for a TV these days. You can barely keep a TV around long enough as you do your phone. It's like you upgrade every 2 years. At least that's been my luck lately, is that something goes wrong with them and then I have to buy a new one, because otherwise you could get it repaired, but it would cost you $1,000, or you could buy a new one and it would cost you $300 or whatever. So the choice is not really yours at all.
I can't say anything because I don't want to jinx myself. So.
Well, don't you have a TV that doesn't really work in the basement?
Yeah, but I got that TV for free.
For free, right? But still, that's a good. I guess. Do you know how old it is? Is the real question.
Well, it has to be old. It's only a 720.
Oh.
And look at the bezel on it. I mean, that thing's huge.
Those fat bezels do not look good these days.
I'm guessing that TV's got to be like 8 years old.
Well, she's doing better than my 4-year-old.
Because my upstairs, we've had the TV in our living room longer than we've been married.
Wow.
And that's been 6 years.
Dang. That's a Vizio too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. This one, the backlights just started going out on them randomly. So anyways, I've had this problem before with the old TV that we got rid of, or that we had to replace as well. And that was a Westinghouse. So it's not like I'm going with the same brand. I've had a new brand every single time. And so I've always had something go wrong with him. And finally, we were just in the middle of watching Curious George, and I was reading something, and Isaac goes, "Dad, I can't see George." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So I look up, and sure enough, the screen is black, but you can still hear the audio. And I knew. I had hoped it would last longer. That was my whole point of this whole thing. But unfortunately, it did not. And so I guess if you're going to have a TV go dead, it should be during Black Friday, or Black Friday week, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you pick the best time in terms of replacing at a discount.
Yes, exactly. So we did end up replacing it, going with a Samsung. They have their own web OS, I think is what it's called, because I'm so used to the TLC or TCL Roku platform. Because they have the Roku TVs, TCL does, and then we have had a Roku upstairs, and they work really nice. But this one has its own thing, and all of the stuff is basically the same. It's just not as snappy. You know what I mean?
Oh God, you should try using mine, because mine's like one of the first gen smart TVs.
Oh yeah,
it's so slow.
Ugh.
It's so slow, but that's how I watch Amazon Prime Video on a TV. So
well, that's what you got to be careful of, because you can't just buy anything and get all of your programs. You got to make sure Amazon's on there. You got to make sure Hulu, Netflix.
Yeah, I think if I get a new, when I do, like, we'll probably keep that TV, but I will replace that TV down here, and I'll get a TCL. I think a TCL is what the route I'm going.
It's what I wanted to buy upstairs, but it was a little bit more than I was willing to spend for a TV that nobody. See, here's the thing: nobody gives a shit about video quality except for me, and so it's very hard for me to be like, oh, nobody's really. It's not like we're going to be watching movies on it.
Video quality, yes, but no, you're much more of an audio than most people. Like, I clearly could give two shits about what the audio sounds like.
Yeah.
I'm like, can I hear it? Okay, we're good.
And I don't
And-
mind a good pair of cans either, and I do
Yeah.
use these quite often. But there are times when, especially in the summer, when it's just hot
Yeah.
and you don't want to have them on. Yes, I
I
will
mean-
admit that I am an audio, although I don't have the money to back it up. So
Right.
Not really, anyway.
I did want a 4K when I still had my Xbox One S, because then I had, a 4K Blu-ray player right there. It would just make
Yes.
sense. Now I don't have any 4K devices. The Switch isn't outputting 4K.
right.
I mean, so that's my plan. I'll get a better TV. I don't get a second dock, so I can easily, migrate my gameplay between the TV and my streaming setup here. Problem is, I'm gonna have to run some cable through the ceiling because the Wi-Fi just is kind of spotty, which is weird because my router's literally right over here, like next to me. You would think I'd have good Wi-Fi signal.
It's
20
probably
feet
all the lead
to
in
the
your
other
paint.
side. Yeah, right. But,
when was your house built?
It's old. It's an old house.
This old house?
Yeah.
So all of that to say, it was tough for me to not be like, I wanted to get the one that I had down here, but it just wasn't really in the budget. So, and again, like I said, if I'm watching anything really of any import.
Yeah. So did you get one of the Best Buy
Yep,
deals?
I went with the Best Buy Samsung deal, which when I went in there, I was looking around at the walls to see if they had the TV up and on display, and they did not, which made me wonder if this is one of those Best Buy specials where they have like that certain brand will make a certain model of TV that they only sell in certain stores, and it's like basically kind of a crappier quality, even though it's Samsung, which I'm fine with. I had a Samsung TV before. I've had every freaking device.
Yeah, you've had every brand at
technology.
this point, haven't you?
LG, Samsung, Vizio, TCL, Westinghouse, although I wouldn't really.
Have you ever had, what's the Best Buy store brand?
Insignia? No, but that's what my ice chest freezer thing is. Ice chest. What am I, 80?
Oh yeah, that's what mine is too, right?
We went and gotten the same one. I'm pretty sure we got it at the same time too.
Got to have something to put all that breast milk in.
That's true. You should really get that checked out. I don't know. I've never heard of a man who produces breast milk, but hey, got to put it somewhere.
Have you ever tried it?
Your breast milk? No, I asked you.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Tastes sweet
I
like honey.
I make cheese.
Gross.
on that note.
On that note, this was something I just thought was funny because I didn't know this.
Is this the Discord conversation?
Yeah, this was the Discord conversation. So I picked up some clothes. So I had lost weight and needed to buy or to get some new clothes, but I can't really replace an entire wardrobe, honestly. And so, and I'm that's where I cut my corners. Is I'm a snob when it comes to technology, but when it comes to my own personal clothing and everything, I'm just like, I don't know, just go to Goodwill and pick me up some whatevers. And you can find some decent stuff there, but it's really hit or miss, especially over by us. It just kind of depends on the neighborhood that's around the Goodwill to determines what you actually end up finding there, I found. And so I was going through and I was looking for some new shirts, and I just picked up a bunch of stuff that I feel like I would have bought if it was new. And I picked up an Aeropostale shirt. Now, I didn't understand this, but apparently, and I was told this as soon as I had worn it, that this is a brand that is basically for teenagers and young adults under 21. I didn't know that, and so I've worn it out in public, and nobody said anything. But now I'm wondering, did people what's wrong with that 30-year-old guy pretending?
American
he's
Shopping
19?
mall-based specialty retailer of casual apparel and accessories, principally targeting ages 14 to 17.
Oh God, 14. Not even 13, but 14.
No.
Damn. They were probably like, man, that 17-year-old's got a really nice beard for a 17-year-old. So I wore, to be fair, I wore some of the, I wore the stuff in my young 20s, and I had a shirt that it was my dad got it for me, so it was gifted to me. And it had the very similar collar. It had that same collar with the buttons. Yeah, that's another thing. It had a dumb collar where you could it was stretchy. It was a stretchy collar, and you could button it all up like it was a.
See, I wore it high with the top button undone. So I think actually there's pictures of at the one Super Bowl party at Erica's we went to years and years ago.
Oh boy.
And I have that shirt
Oh
on.
no.
Fun fact.
We better dig that up on Facebook somewhere.
But Lucas posted up his pic in the Discord, all hot or not style. It's like, hey, what's the deal with this shirt, guys?
I had to post the question in a way that wouldn't tell you what I was thinking, because otherwise you would just shit on me because you think it's funny. So I had to be like,
typically we just shit on you anyway. But,
that's true. Well, that's because I ask you to, and I'm into
again
it.
Another reason to come to the Discord.
Fluxtaposed.com. You can shit on people. /shit on people.
Like Josh Bones.
That's right. Did you hear Bobby Bones won Dancing of the Stars?
I don't even know who that is. Who the hell is Bobby Bones?
I don't know. I just apparently
I saw that headline. I had no idea
exactly.
who Bobby Bones is.
I only know him because somebody else listens to him, and I'm like, who? And he's a
Did
radio
he come out
DJ.
and he was like, Bone Size Reggie?
No, he doesn't look anything like you would expect somebody named Bobby Bones to look like. Anyways, so I learned an imperative lesson, and that shirt will be burned, and I will never wear it. Even though the only difference between this shirt and any other shirt I've ever owned is that they like quilt or embroider arrow on everything. For some reason, it has that like, we're going to use a different type of cloth and embroider it onto the shirt, and that makes it 14 to 17-year-old only, apparently. And then lastly, and this was what you were getting at, was so we had the mixer, right?
Yeah, we had the mixer. You guys helped us upgrade. What's the Mixer face?
Something like that. Mixer face right here. Behringer, very basic model. I'm sure there are other podcasts that have utilized this before and then probably said, we're going to upgrade as soon as possible. It's called the Xenix Q802 USB. With a name like that, no wonder it's so popular. Now, we had some problems with this mixer, and I sent them a little note and said, hey, the very important podcast, Fluxtaposed, is having a problem with their mixer. What are you going to do about it? And they sent me back. This is what I didn't like about the process. The website asks you basically the exact same questions. So you submit everything, your name, what's wrong with the mixer, model number, receipt. You upload all that to the website. Then they email you and they ask for all that information again, apparently, because they did. And so I had to give it to them for some reason.
A bit annoying.
Yeah, I was like, all right, which is why it took me like a week, because I just never felt like doing it. And then finally I said, all right, I should probably get this done before it's too late. So do it. And 20 minutes later, I get a response that said basically, hey, we're sorry to hear about the problems you're having. We're going to send you out a new mixer. With the holiday weekend, it should get there by next weekend, if not sooner. You don't have to send back the mixer. You can just get rid of that however you see fit. That's what I texted you on Discord, and I was like, holy shit. Because you don't get customer service like that very often. First of all, I didn't have to be inconvenienced by sending that back and waiting for a box for free shipping and all this other shit. They're like, hey, these things cost hardly nothing for us to make, so here, we'll just send you a new one. So that was very awesome of them.
Yeah, I mean,
Behringer,
we kind of expected we'd have to buy a new microphone, so
new mixer. Yeah,
I mean mixer. Sorry,
we do need to buy you a new microphone.
I wish I had an XLR microphone so I could take advantage of the mixer, but I don't. I mean,
yeah, because that's what we were like. How do we utilize this possibly? And really, it's only good because the microphone part still works. It's just things got weird when I started hooking up more than one thing. So,
and for me to get a condenser XLR mic, we'd be looking at dropping a pretty decent chunk of the budget to get to that point. So
yes, unless you got this mic, which would be a downgrade in quality for you, because this one's only like $60. So
I'd have to get because I'd have to get a microphone, and then if I didn't use the mixer, I'd need to have some sort of amp to connect and then convert it.
It would probably
to USB, and it's just
it would be more of a pain in the ass than it's probably worth.
Like if money was no problem, I would definitely I really like that Audio Technica, the AT2035. It's one of their condenser mics. Those are nice, but I mean, at a certain point, we're podcasting. we're on the internet. There's already going to be some compression and lack of
Well,
and, quality loss.
If we were in studio, it'd be different, but we're not. And also, I've heard doing my ad results or ad reviews job. There are people who I swear are just using like their iPod speaker or their iPhone headphones plugged into a laptop. Sure. And so,
I mean, we've definitely improved our production over the years. And I think there's definitely some shows that just do, whatever. Sometimes I almost often think about, because there's a support beam right there. If I walled off my little corner of the room here and I could just soundproof it, and then, I mean, that's not necessary. So, guys, I want to announce that we're 16 days away. Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
And my surgery.
And Lucas' surgery.
More importantly, my impending death.
And my office holiday party.
Good Lord. It's like a really bad concept for a movie. It's like all these things are happening all in one day.
We're both really looking forward to the game, and probably I don't know if either of us will play it on that day.
No. Well, like I said, I'm going to try to stay awake.
I'll find a way.
I'll find a way. Life finds a way. I have got to stay awake as long as possible because I paid for these drugs to go pumping through my veins. And if I'm going to be all hopped up on, I almost said aphrodisiacs, anesthetics, anesthetized. I don't know. Anesthesia. That's the word. By the way, a beautiful name for a girl, anesthesia.
I think chlamydia is.
It's too bad it's a sexually transmitted disease. It's so beautiful.
That's right.
If I paid for that, I'm going to stay up as long as possible, baby. Because screw my well-being. I only want to get high. Give me them painkillers, boy.
That's right.
I'm going to take 3 times the dose. I'm going to be like Pac-Man. Gobble them up. Got to burn that bush, boy. Got to burn that bush.
Nice.
Had to bring it back. That'll be a t-shirt one day.
Yeah, right. Should we do our top? You want to do the main topic tonight?
Yeah, can you go first? I just talked a whole lot, so.
Guys, it's time for that popular content that we ripped off from Netflix, but we didn't, but we did. It's called The Games That Made Us.
Games That Made Us.
So, for those uninitiated, we pull a game near and dear to our hearts from our backlog of gaming history, and we're going to tell you why we like it and all that stuff. So, this week, I really dug deep.
Yeah, you did. I was very surprised by this.
I think no one saw this because it's not even from a console. It's not even on a popular gaming platform. I went with a browser-based game that I played back in the early 2000s, Archmage.
Wow.
Brief history. Archmage was a successful browser-based multiplayer turn-based, that's too many based in one sentence, strategy game where the player plays a wizard resurrected from the depths of hell and commands vast armies with magical and mundane elements. Game was created by Korean telecommunications company Mari, but has since gone bankrupt and ceased supporting it. Fans have since.
Can I just say that all of what you just said from the story perspective, I never knew any of that because you wouldn't get that from just logging in and doing what you do in this game.
Oh no. Fans have since created game encapsulating the essence of Archmage. Such games include the Reincarnation. I think that's the most popular version of it. So I remember Archmage. I think I started playing it, I think really my freshman year in high school. One of my friends turned me onto it, and we would play it during our break in between classes, or then we're in the library.
Do you want to play a game with me?
Exactly. So the way it works, you're a mage, and there are 6 different colors that you can pick from, which determine what kind of magic you use. So there was green, red, blue, white.
I wonder what they represent.
Right, which most of the elements. So red was fire, blue was water, green was forest, white was holy, black was necromantic. I feel like there might have been a 6th one, but I can't quite remember. So all would be they all play a little differently in terms of the creatures you can summon. I think blue is actually, blue might have been air. There might have been a separate one for water. I can't quite remember. Either way,
pea water.
So you had, as a mage, you had land, and you had to build. So there was the whole economy you had to manage too. So you had land, and you had to build upon it. So you had to have nodes. You build nodes to generate mana, because you need the mana to summon creatures, cast spells. You need farms for food to feed your people. Barracks, because the more people you had, you got taxes. That's how you generated gold. Barracks to recruit armies. A lot of stuff I never really used. You had like keeps, which would like up your defense. And basically, the whole gist of it was you would attack other mages, seize their lands, expand yours, and you would grow in a power. It basically had like a power rating.
Yeah, I was just
ranking.
gonna say it wasn't it basically 2 power ratings go head to head when you decide to raid somebody else's land, and you just
Well, not exactly. So you had a power rating which would determine you only could attack someone within a certain power ranking of your own. So so that way you couldn't beat up on someone that was much lower than you. And that's how you actually got, ranked up through the game. The way the actual attacks worked was a lot more complex, because the way there was this whole I didn't learn this until later on, called stacking, and the way units would stack up and units would attack one another. So you would kind of like there's a way you could purposely stagger units to benefit you, which I can't quite remember exactly. So because each units would have power rankings as well, and depending on the value of their attack power and how many like actual quantity you have. So you had a way you'd want to actually use some as like meat shields. So it basically, your most powerful rated unit would attack your opponent's most powerful rated unit. I think that's how it would work. So there'd be a way that you could stack like a really weak unit on top to trigger their strongest unit to attack it, and that way your more powerful units would be there to kind of like to stop the damage. The way you could use them as like meat shields, essentially. But back then when I was playing in high school, we were just it's just playing for shits and giggles. Didn't really know what we were doing. And I remember one of my friends, Mike Collins, he got into because they had basically you played during turns. You only could get so many turns, and every action would require a turn, and then you'd have to wait. So basically, you only play, you could hop in, do your actions, and then you'd have to wait. I think you got a turn depending on which server. Each server was different settings, but normal, I think it was a turn every 15 minutes. So you could log in a couple times a day, unless you're getting attacked, to manage your kingdom pretty easily. But they basically, I would say they would work as seasons, and at some point towards the end, then all hell kind of broke loose, and people would start attacking each other at the end, and then you'd want to try to get to number 1 right at the end as the servers would close, and then you'd make it on the leaderboard. And I was able to do it as a black mage as well, because they had a really interesting spell that you use called summon skeletons or summon zombies, and it would basically sacrifice your townspeople and turn them into these skeletons and zombies.
That's some dark magic right there.
Right. And when you summon the spell, it keeps multiplying and reoccurring, and you have to keep the upkeep costs to keep it going. So as long as you can afford the upkeep, you can keep it. It'll just keep going, and you'll just keep rapidly growing your army. So you could power level your ranking very quickly because of that. But also, you're decimating your population if you don't have the farms and the buildings to support the growing population. And I remember I think my friend Mike got into like the top 10 at the end of the server shutdown one time, because he just did a crazy power level and got up there. And I did it once, but then I couldn't afford the economy upkeeps, and I spiraled into destruction.
Oh no!
But I feel like I always went blue. Blue I had a lot of success with. I think green as well. Like red was fun because they had these dragon units that were really awesome, very powerful, had a fire attack.
Now again, this is all text-based and numbers.
Is all text-based and numbers, yeah. So you didn't see anything, but it was
in
just
your
really
mind,
fun.
you did.
So that's how I got introduced to it. But why I this game is on this list for me is it was right around, I think it was my senior year in high school. It was when me and Big John were playing a lot of StarCraft together, and I was still playing this. And I decided, I'm going to join a guild. And I joined a guild called Seventh Gate. And to this day, it was probably still one of the coolest, like, little communities of people I've ever met. And maybe it was because it was
Besides
that
this
point in my
one.
time, I was only I was only 18, so impressionable and hadn't had any experiences like this at that time. But they just had this really cool like process of how they interviewed prospective applicants. They had it was called like the questions of I think it was like 10 questions of doom, and they're all like these random like get to know you, and you really get a chance to like shine with your personality if you chose. You could just be basic, or you could really embellish and have fun
You
with
could
the
be a basic
questions.
bitch, is what you're saying?
And this is back in the day when forums were how you communicated. So
Yes, yes.
we had a forum, and then IRC was the popular client. So all
Yep.
like the different guilds had IRC
I
chats, and
can't
there
wait
was
to check
idling
back in 6 hours to find out if anybody responded to my question.
But there were all these other people from across the country and across the world at like the same age, and unfortunately I'm not connected with any of them any longer. I've randomly I think every once in a while, like because of email, I'll get like I'm pretty sure I have a few of them that popped up on like LinkedIn, but I don't remember names, so I don't remember. And I found a couple people here and there, but you've disconnected for so long, it's not the same. So it was just really cool and the problem what was happened is our guild leader was from New Zealand, I believe, and he's a really cool guy. And then all of a sudden he just went MIA, just like disappeared. He had like all his personal life stuff happen and just vanish. And then the whole like kind of guild slowly fell apart from that. And
Well,
then
I don't want to do that.
and this
You
is
do
talking
it.
about like some more history. Like Archmage went live in like 1998. Well, then right around 2002, let's see here. Mid 2002, Mario announced that they were in talks with Microsoft, plans to port Archmage to the Xbox console.
Wow.
But if these talks took place, they're in vain. The last Mario sponsored server resets is what I was talking about. That's what the server would reset, and then you'd have a new server and new rankings.
Right.
That's what that took place. So around this time, 2001, 2002, they were trying to go pay to play with the game, but the problem was MMOs were really rising to prominence right now. We had Dark Age of Camelot, Ultima Online, EverQuest. Those games were gaining popularity, and really, it was kind of hard for a browser-based text game to compete. So the last actual Mario-sponsored server reset took place in December 2002, and then the servers were never activated again after that. So that's how like the guild fell apart, and then the servers just shut down.
Wow.
And so then I think
So I
at
guess
that
it
point,
didn't matter anyway, really.
didn't matter. Everyone kind of went their separate way. But then, like I mentioned, they used to have a game forum, which was the UBB board, and that was up until 2004 before that faded away. But then I somehow stumbled across the Reincarnation, which was a fan-made recreation. It was basically the same exact game with some tweaks to prevent copyright, but the systems and the structure were also very much the same. I found my same guild. They had restarted, and they were called God Mode. And the funny thing about that is their in-game guild name was IDDQD, which was the code for God Mode. And I don't remember, I think it's the code for the God Mode in Doom. I don't quite recall. But it's cool to reconnect with everyone. Technology had improved a little bit. Again, now I don't know who anyone is, but that was like my first sense of this online community, of this guild. I've been in guilds, I've been in clans, but this was my first exposure to that. So this is that first sense of, being involved. Like, I was this emo before emo was, I'm the, this kid, just looking for, other like-minded people out there. So there's like that first, exposure to that. And it was, it was a fun game. I never understood all the systems and the way to properly like build my mage and my army, but I just had fun playing it. And let's face it, the best thing about that game is that we had the most fun doing is creating your forum signature to match your your mage for that server reset. I think back then, I think I was using Phoenix as my tag, stolen from StarCraft. And then I don't think I ever used Flux. I did actually, I think I used Flux there a couple times too. But I remember I had a really cool, when I was a green mage, I had an Earthworm Jim in my signature, and the whole tagline was like, "Life's a garden, dig it," and just stupid stuff like that. But that was the time back then. It was the era of AngelFire.net, America Online, ICQ, AOL, and all that. The internet was a different experience back then. But I mean, IRC, I idled on that all the time, and it was just fun all the stuff we had on those forums. And I eventually took over doing the questions of doom. That was my thing. grilling new applicants and all that stuff. And it was
how you learn
a
to
fun
do
thing.
the job you have now.
Possibly, so it was just a fun time, and I'll always have good memories of that game. I haven't tried to play it in a while, but kind of makes me want to try to. I think I only have 2 or 3 people I could possibly try to message from the guild, but it's a fun time. So it was always a fond memory, and I think that kind of helped shape, again, what I look for in online gaming spaces.
I'm trying to figure out. I mean, they were definitely popular because I played something that was very
You and
similar.
Little John played it. We've talked about this. You guys played another game right there around at that same time, and I can't remember what it was called.
I can't either. That's what I was just trying to find.
I remember talking about it at LAN parties and stuff, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I wish it was.
I don't remember what it was called.
I couldn't even hazard a guess. I don't think. And the problem now
it was similar.
The problem now is that so many things are called Archmage that trying to look it up is just impossible.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was definitely a popular game type, even though it sounds ridiculous now.
Let's see if Archmage still works.
I think it does. The
reincarnation. Let's see.
Yeah.
the-reincarnation.com. Yeah. Still up. They have it. They have a Discord.
Oh God. Well, yeah, you have to.
And so they had, and not unrelated, but now because there, they had different servers based on. You had a guild server, you had non-guild servers, and then based on how fast you wanted your turns to generate. Like Blitz, I think you generate a turn every minute. So
that'd be nuts.
And you could have alliances with other players in their servers that don't allow that. And
what is does it tell you? Well, I guess browser-based multiplayer turn-based strategy game. They need a better way of describing that, because I'm like, well, maybe I can just Google it based off the genre, but
I mean, the coolest thing was when I visited the reincarnation forums and I just posted there, trying to reconnect with people, and everyone there is super helpful and really cool. So it wasn't like your typical online experience where oh, you effing noob, get out of here. It's just that was the cool thing to try to. And I think we all could probably have similar journeys like that to those first online communities you first got involved with years and years ago when you're in your younger days, and then trying to link back up with people.
That's because only cool stoners run the internet now. 14-year-olds have grown up and ruined it because they still act like 14-year-olds. Get off my internet! You're a girl.
I feel like that game started with an S. That's what Little John remembers it.
Supremacy. I think maybe.
No, that doesn't sound right.
That's 19. Small Worlds. No. Samurai Tyson.
We'll look at that another time. You have a game.
I need to know. I got to the end of the list. I can't find it. Yes. Well, this one was tough for me because I couldn't remember what the thing that we talked about on the last games that made us episode where I was like, you spoiled it. I couldn't remember what you said. So instead, I went back and I thought, all right, well, let's think about something I like today and figure out what the roots were. And of course, something that I love. And in fact, you probably can't tell, but it's behind me. All these books right here,
I know this. I know these well.
Yes. Ending at the Nintendo Switch cases right here. These are all Shadowrun novels. And Shadowrun is based off from a tabletop role-playing game. And what I remember playing, my first exposure to this, of course, was the Shadowrun Genesis game. And at the time, what I didn't know is there actually was a Super Nintendo game as well. Weirdly, completely different. Not the same game. They're both called the same, but completely different games.
Yeah, it still is weird to me.
I don't think the SNES game was very good, honestly. And I mean, we'll talk about that in a second. But Shadowrun offers the player. Here's a little description. Shadowrun offers the player an open style of gameplay where one controls the main character, Joshua, in a third-person perspective during both exploration and combat. Battles are real-time, and although of varying difficulty, tend to be relatively short. As in most role-playing video games, the character's skills and attributes can be improved. However, the Shadowrun uses a unique karma system, which allows full character customization. So you at the beginning of the game, you would choose what you want Joshua to be. You could be a street Sam, which is basically, muscle, and you have a lot of
Right.
robotic arms and katanas mixed with Uzis and crazy stuff like that. And you could also be a mage, which is like the antithesis of putting cybernetics in your body. You could also be a shaman. You could be a decker, which is that's kind of like the ultimate vision of what Shadowrun always has been to me, which is, this thick 1/4-inch cable coming out of a jack and someone. I mean, it looks like guitar, like something you'd plug into a guitar, coming down into a
Decker cane.
Stay a while, listen. Put onto like this keyboard that looks like a keytar. You know what I mean? Like, it's a portable keyboard that you would strap to your body and you could type on it. The idea back then that you would have to physically jack into whatever you're trying to hack would be laughable these days. But of course, wireless internet wasn't really a thing back then. So it made sense. So to earn money in karma, the player must run the shadows, so to speak, which includes illegal jobs provided by pseudo-anonymous contractors who are, within the legal boundaries of their work, referred to simply as Mr. Johnsons. Mr. Johnsons usually are corporate liaisons who want their boss's dirty work done without compromising them. Depending on the Johnson, they will see, this is where it gets your hooks into it, or gets its hooks into you. Somebody's getting hooked here. These Johnsons, they would randomly offer different types of jobs, such as raiding gang hangouts, which of course you'd want to be a street Sam or at least have one with you. Search and retrieval, extractions, which were always kind of interesting because they're sort of your escort missions where you had to escort. You'd have to go like retrieve a corporate wage slave, as they call them in universe, out of because they would like be forced to work there or whatever.
Did they use the term chummer?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. They had all the lingo. Null Sheen chummer and Ome, and because in this universe by this point, a lot of cultures were kind of mixed together to create sort of a overarching street lingo. So you'll see Japanese, Chinese, lots of Spanish and all that stuff. And of course Matrix runs, which were always the more fun ones because you make the most money. And to me, like, this was one of the first open world games that I've ever played. This predated Ultima Online for me, even. As far as like being able to travel wherever you wanted, you had this open world. You could go do these missions that repeated and were not story based. Like, you'd have story based missions, but then you'd also be able to hit up a Johnson at any time and take one of these missions.
You would hit up a Johnson.
And get a mission from them. So it was really cool. And then of course you could make your character however you wanted. And coming from most video games where you chose like a class and then pumped points into strength because I'm a warrior and that's going to make me the best. But here you kind of had a little bit of leeway as to however you wanted your character to be. And for that time, like, I think it came out in 93 or 94. That was a big deal. Like, there weren't a lot of games that did that. So especially in the way that you would be able to play this game, in which, you're seeing your character and you're playing from kind of a top-down perspective. Sometimes you'd get those D&D games on the computer where it was like the first-person perspective and you were kind of stuck to a grid and you'd walk around, almost like the original EverQuest or something like that. 94, by the way, is when it was released. So, like, I don't know, this kind of combined a lot of elements to make something new, and it really took hold of my imagination because it wasn't your typical medieval medieval fantasy setting that I was used to. You had your science fiction element here.
So Shadowrun started though as tabletop, right?
Yes.
That was the first. So would you say, like, we saw this game and then nothing ever again in the series until the Xbox 360 era, where they had that first person arena shooter, which was kind of odd, but
that came
it
out
had
in 2007.
Crossplay, right, too, between Xbox 360 and PC, I believe.
I don't know, actually. I
feel like it had
PC,
some sort of crossplay, but then I think where Shadowrun really came back to prominence was when Harebrained Schemes got involved, and they kickstarted Shadowrun Returns, which is like going back to that classic gameplay, and that's how I got introduced into the.
Except for it was turn-based now instead of.
And it's turn-based. So would you say? Do you feel like that whole reimagining? Do you think is that? Obviously, it's not quite the same as what you played on the Genesis, but do you think they like this as a faithful way to kind of show that? Because it's not like people are going to go back and play that Genesis game,
right? Unless you have nostalgia, you would never.
Yeah. Do you think like the new series on PC and it's been on mobile devices, and do you think is that a good entry point for people to experience Shadowrun if they never have?
Oh, that's a tough one, because while I do like Shadowrun Returns and everything, I feel like yes and no. The problem I have with recommending it is that it's not your typical game. There is a ton of reading in this, and I know for some people that'll turn you off, because you won't even know what's going on if you try to skip the story. So if you don't care about that kind of thing, that part is tough. But
you could probably say that, to be fair, too, there's other games that do the tactical strategy better.
Yes. If we had an XCOM game that was Shadowrun based, because there you have a little bit more depth. For instance, I played XCOM or something like it first and then went to Shadowrun Returns, and I was missing the ability to do like the Overwatch ability, where like you would set your guy up, you wouldn't attack, you'd put him on Overwatch, and they would watch to see if anybody moved on the enemy turn and then fire on them, which is a huge strategy bonus, because unless you want to throw yourself into the middle of the fray, you're not getting a lot of attack opportunities that are worthwhile. You know what I mean? Because if you're trying to be careful, you kind of creep up on every situation. Unless you have like a sniper or something, your chance of hitting is terrible and everything. So you kind of want to catch the enemy off guard by doing these Overwatch maneuvers. And you don't unlock that until very late into the game, I felt like. And I was missing that kind of depth to the game. So I would say yes and no. We deserve a better game than that, especially, going off from the XCOM feeling where, you don't have the open world. You don't have randomly generated missions or anything like that. The Matrix kind of sucks as far as I'm concerned. It's just the Matrix in that game is basically real life, but in the computer. You know what I mean? Like, the fights kind of end up the same, and there's not much hacking, that type of thing. So it's as good as it's going to get now, but I think we do deserve a better game than that. And it's kind of unfortunate that we won't probably ever see. I mean, Cyberpunk 2066 is probably, or 2033 or whatever the hell it is probably going to be a better Shadowrun game.
Yeah, that's the closest you'll get. I mean, Shadowrun Returns was my first introduction to the series, and
you liked
I played
that.
Though. I did like it, and I have Dragonfall and I have Hong Kong, and unfortunately I haven't. I started Dragonfall, but then it's a time commitment for me. It's hard to get into it, and then I really want to play Hong Kong too. And that's the thing. It's just it's a slow burn of a game to play,
and the pacing is an issue, because you'll get into the hub world where you have to talk to people about the mission and what just happened, and you'll be talking for 15 minutes and reading. Then you'll go into a mission, and then you'll be doing a mission for like 15 to 30 minutes to an hour. And so it's like this weird back and forth.
Here's the thing. If they ported them to Switch, I'd probably crush them, because I could just,
and it's a touchscreen.
I could put it to sleep mode and then pick the game back up at a later point. While on the PC, it's harder to carve out that time. Especially, it's like when you want to play something, it's like, well, I don't want to read a novel. I want to just, so.
They probably would have benefited with some voice acting there. But, I mean, for what it's worth, the teammate aspect of like having a team that runs and does missions and having characters to learn about and stuff like that all that is there. It's just, I do think that there would be a better way to, it kind of glosses over the feeling of the world. You don't really learn a lot about Shadowrun as a world. Everything that I know about Shadowrun has come from the novels. And granted, they are not, Shakespeare or anything, but they can be interesting. Sometimes they border on like the mundane as far as, okay, it's just going to be another Johnson backstabs them or whatever.
Yeah.
And it ends up not being that interesting. But for the most part, either way, you still get a flavor of Shadowrun that is strictly of that time, because these are also from the 90s. So it's at the height of that Genesis game that kind of started it all for me.
There you go. That's another edition of the games that made us. We'll have to compile all these somewhere so we can actually remember which ones we selected, which one we haven't.
Knowing us, we would just talk about something we've already talked about.
Yeah, exactly, and just go, hey, I feel like I've talked about this before.
Haven't we done RPGs?
Yeah, exactly. So with that said, it's time to take an overclocked remix break.
Sure.
We have another listener request coming from our good friend, your Diablo BFF, Mr. Joshua Barboni, and dropped us on Discord, and his selection comes from Lost Odyssey. It's called A Mighty Enemy on the Battlefield by the Dual Dragons. Lost Odyssey, of course, was released on the Microsoft Xbox 360 2007. It's one of the more popular RPGs, I would think, on the console, because you didn't really have any.
Yeah, there wasn't much. There wasn't much there. The only other one I can think of is Blue Dragon. As far as JRPGs go, there are plenty of.
I mean, you had your
Western style,
your Mass Effects and that nature. But
Mass Effects.
We've got the A Mighty Enemy Appears and Battlefield are the songs we're pulling from. And if you're not familiar, OC Remix is something we usually play something from the front page, from the new selections. But if one of you, the listeners, has something you want to hear, by all means, hit us up on social media or on Discord. We'd love to play it on the show for everyone. This is a rock remix, so those are always welcome, and we're going to play it. So
I'm going to guess these are... I'm guessing these are the boss theme and a regular fight theme. That's right. Going to be my guess.
And as always, you can find this remix and so much more over at ocremix.org. So Lucas is going to play that remix. We're going to step back for a second, and we'll come back, do some What You Playing, and finish off the show, and you can be on your way. So we will see you in 4 minutes, 30-something seconds.
Okay, well, that was interesting. And what else is interesting is that Jason's not back yet, even though he had 4.5 minutes to, I don't know, take a poop or whatever the hell he's doing. So I'm just gonna take over the show now. It's my show. I'm doing it solo. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's time to do a little thing that I like to call, what you playing? Oh, here he comes. I see his shadow. Way to go. What you playing? We're doing it.
Woo!
We're doing it live. You left me. You were pooping.
I know. Well, we had a terrible emergency. The monitor sound wasn't working, so I had to fix that.
My God.
How late was I?
30 seconds.
Oh
Exactly.
man, I thought it was going to be a lot worse.
Oh, no, I'm glad it wasn't. All I said was that you're a horrible person and we're doing what you playing. So,
Well, I am a horrible person because I'm on the podcast and I'm like,
Are you,
I
though?
do a podcast and I want to make my voice heard on the internet and I'm more important than everyone else.
my opinions matter more.
I'm an independent content creator and you will listen to everything I have to say.
I think that's a good stance to take. It's one that most people don't take, but it's nice
Yeah.
to see somebody out there just, getting after it, and getting things done.
What you playing, guys? That's a popular segment on the show. On the urging of one Mr. Tom Servo last weekend, I was like, he was interested because the motion control patch came into Paladins.
I'm using motion controls.
And he's all about that Moco life. And I was like, oh, Paladins, I haven't played that in a while. And you know what? Jumping back into it, I was like, I kind of think like, man, why did I stop playing Paladins? Because it is just a fun game. I've always had a good time with it. And it was cool to just jump back in and start playing it again. Unfortunately, one of the champions I've unlocked, I don't have access to. And he had expressed the same thing. I did hit up Hi-Rez on Twitter. I never heard anything back. So why that could be. But it's just a fun little game. Even playing solo, I have a good time. But I really would be nice. I think the most, like, we've played with Rybo and we've played with Dude. So we've always had a party of 3, but we've never had more than that. So I think it'd be interesting to see what would happen when you had at least 4, teammates that would actually follow a game plan with you, or even a 5th.
Are you saying that you'd have a party of 5?
Yes, that'd be the ideal situation. But
Great
that's
show.
That's a fun game to play and jump back into. And now we've got Warframe just came out today, so that's another game looking to link
You
up.
don't even need to buy games for the Switch.
No, you just get all the free ones. So that's like, and I've played. I've dabbled more in Moonlighter. I've cleared the first dungeon there, but really, what I want to focus the rest of my time here on what you're playing is towards the graphic novel realm.
Yes, you've been telling me about this.
First of all, I read one which you've read as well, the Dead Space graphic novel.
Yeah, that one's okay.
The prequel to the game. What did you think about the art in that?
Well, I remember saying, I think it was this one where I said I feel like everyone kind of looks the same, or at least all the men kind of look the same, and it was hard for me to determine who was who.
It's just an ugly book.
It's very sketchy.
Really, the drawing is just very ugly, and I hate. I don't want to because I'm not an artist myself. I don't want to come down on someone, but it's just not a very good looking book in general.
No, I agree, because it's very sketchy, and it's almost like one of those things where they just apply a single color to an entire panel.
Yeah.
Instead of coloring it the way, or at least sometimes instead of coloring it the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of comes off as very inky instead of, I don't know, kind of your more typical, I think what you would have as a standard now would be. Yeah. Your more typical.
I do want to go, now that I've played the game and I've read this, I wish I could go back and I want to watch the Netflix, the animated films again. Because now I have such a much better understanding of the lore and the games and what's going on.
Yes.
I feel like I could make more.
And the question was, it was tough to understand because the question was always how did this start? And that's where this comic comes into play.
Yeah.
So and I think that it came out around the same time as
it came out just before the game did, because there's an ad in that graphic novel for the game and its release date. So this was like
Oh
came out
yeah,
right before.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
this
I
came
guess
out
that makes
just it was
sense.
like part of the marketing for it.
Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can quickly just throw up the what the art that we're looking at here, if possible. Because I agree. Like I'm actually struggling with that with another comic book that I'll talk about later. I just haven't read enough of it yet. But I feel like I don't know. I just when it comes to especially guys, I've noticed for some reason they all end up looking the same. And I had the same problem with this one where I had a really tough time just understanding who was who and what.
Yeah, I mean, would you say it's safe to say, like, safe to assume, like, what is it the what causes everything in the dead space? It's not so much is it the marker, or is it like the whole like that there, because as you find in the game, spoilers the game, there's this whole hive mind type thing controlling people as well.
Right.
I mean, uh, what is behind all of that? Is it like because the hive is almost like something? It's almost like creep from StarCraft that the Zerg have. There's that, and then there's
Oh yeah, that's true. I never even thought of
they
that.
and they animate corpses to kill to spread and make more corpses to control.
I'm throwing up some art now.
And I don't know what the marker how that plays in, but yeah. So
well, and there's
like,
multiple markers too, and there's a religion around it and everything.
So like the panels you have right there aren't too bad, but I mean like once they're just in like just humans, it's just like it's very I don't know. It's not much to look at, but it was a cool story. It was cool to get more backstory on Dead Space, and probably I should have read this first and then read the second book because the next book I read. This is one of the best probably graphic novels I've ever read. I think it's called Black Sad.
That's definitely not fair to poor Dead Space then.
I know. So this is Black Sad is about, first of all, it's anthropomorphic animals set in,
which is always good.
I want to say New York, but it's very serious, dark tone set in like the, just after World War II, that whole noir detective era of like those the late 40s early 50s, and it's by I believe that it's a Spanish author. I think it's a two-man team worked on it, but they're Spanish and they wrote it for a French market. So this is a French comic originally, so that there's quite a large delay to even get it translated into an international release. So this is a compilation of the first 3 volumes. And this, I think it was Dark Horse published this originally. I think the first couple issues were like 2002, 2003. They were published.
Okay.
And so this graphic novel encompasses those first 3 volumes. I think there's a volume 4 and a volume 5 that are also out already, but I don't think they're in English. At least I couldn't find them anywhere. And I think there's been plans to make a 6th and 7th as well, but again, there's no time frame on translation when those will happen. Which once I found that, I got really excited, but then I was disappointed too because really cool. So I can't remember his first name. I want to say maybe it's John, but Black Sad is his last name. He's a detective, a private eye, and there's 3 independent stories. One has him. The first story, he's like loosely working with the police. An old flame of his, who's a famous actress, is found murdered. So he's trying to track down the killer and the groups behind it. The second storyline, there's a young girl that's gone missing, and he's trying to find her. And there's a whole racism, KKK type story unraveling there, and police corruption. And then the third story deals with the nuclear arms race and something going on behind that. And first of all, I have to say the artwork in these books are amazing. It's like top-notch artwork. The stories are really great. The dialogue's good. But one drawback I'll have to say is like, there are some there's like some, I think there's like probably maybe 2, I would say 2 scenes at most, of love scenes. And I'm like, I feel like I'm going slightly furry by reading this. But I mean,
now I'm really interested.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a really good book. And again, I stumbled across this. I think much the way you did. Just pulled up a generic, must read graphic novel list, and this was popped in like one of the top 25 ones. And it's just a really good
Now,
I like that gritty detective style story, and then just the art and the what's going on in each individual panel is just really great to look at.
it's got that noir, like the way that Black Sad is on the cover. It has that noir font that reminds me of. They use the same font in.
It's like very Grim
LA
Fandango-ish, and LA Noir, anything like that. So I think I can't recommend enough. It's probably one of the best ones I've read in recent history.
Were all those stories contained in the same volume that you read?
Yeah, those 3 stories are all
Now,
in that same.
I might have something to tell you then. I'm trying to figure out if they're in English, but on Hoopla, I find 3 different ones: Black Sad, A Silent Hell, and then Black Sad Amarillo.
So I know Amarillo. So that Black Sad is the one. So Silent Hell and Amarillo, I think, are the 4th and the 5th. Because I know Amarillo is the 5th one.
Interesting.
So if those are available, I will definitely check those out.
I'm trying to determine if they're in English. I would assume so, because there's nothing in here that says that it's foreign language or anything.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because you would well, I guess it's probably faster to get them translated in digital than it would be to get it all printed out and everything.
And then get it printed. And I will say too, because episode 3 or volume 3 has a very like depressing ending for our hero, especially what happens. Like just to nonchalant, there's like a love interest that comes into play, and then thanks to the government, and it's very disappointing.
I'm too busy with that right now on Hoopla.
That's Watchmen.
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
So.
I'm almost done though.
So I can't recommend those enough. It's a great book. So I'm really glad I picked it up. And that's my What You Playing.
Nice. I think Saga number 9 is out right now too.
Ooh.
Not Mambo number 5, but Saga number 9, completely different. Well, that's a nice a bit of kit, as it were. I'm going to talk about some games that I was playing, and then I'm going to talk about some things that I watched with my eyeballs. So let's just get down to it. Hollow Knight, I'm playing more of. I am constantly getting through more and more of this game. I love it, which is interesting because I have said I don't typically like the Metroidvania style, but I feel like it's a bit more. Well, I'll tell you, brother. One thing is that the locations look different enough that I can keep track of them in my mind without being overwhelmed. You know what I mean? Because like, even though they're all in tunnels and every place has a distinct look. You have like the mining area of Crystal Peaks. You have the fungal wastes, which have a lot of spores and completely different color palette. I just got into the sewers, which I was told about, and I was like, what? I completely skipped over that and was able to find. It's funny how if you look at the map, you can see that there are places that you haven't gone to. And then like, oh, I should probably go back and see if I can get in there now. And sure enough, I was able to.
That map is huge, though, too. There's a lot there.
I'm sorry. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. Yeah, so there is a lot here. And I just recently was able to find one of the 3 mask people that are on the stone in front of the Black Egg Temple or whatever. So
yeah.
One of the dreamers, without spoiling too much. So
I can't wait to talk to you about what the grubs. I can't wait to talk to you.
I know
about
you told me something Interesting happens there. So I've been collecting them as I hear them. Although they put those enemies in there that sound like the grubs, and then they fly at you and explode. Those little bastards. I hate them. But it is interesting to see how many enemy types they've come up with that just work in a completely different manner. It really is kind of. I don't want to say that the game mechanics are Dark Soulsy, but definitely the atmosphere and the way that there's this almost ghost town of an area, and you just randomly find people who don't seem like they should be there. You know what I mean? Like, just like in Dark Souls, you'll wander around and you'll just randomly find different knights and people who are stuck like you are. Same as this place. You'll just randomly find people to talk to, and they may or may not be important. Like the bug in the Queen's Station who just eats things that are up in the roof. I still don't know why I could talk to her, but she's there, and you just learn a little bit. And you find out you see a different type of bug, and it's just interesting. So
I'm literally looking forward to when you go to the Coliseum, because I spent a lot of time at the Coliseum.
Oh, well, that's where you can fight. It's kind of boss rush mode, right?
It's kind of boss. It's more like encounter rush. So you fight different waves of enemies, and then you get Geo. And I think there's Geo you get. I think there's a unique badge you get from there. I think you get a piece of ore from there.
Okay.
And there's three different challenges that ramp up in difficulty, with the third one obviously the hardest.
Oh, so you complete like the first challenge, get something, then the second one get okay.
Yep.
Well, you know I'm gonna do it, so I gotta be close because I think I only have 2 or 3 more area. Well, 2, if the space on the map is any indication, 2 more areas to find and like unlock on the map. But I'm digging it. Unless I'm completely wrong. I guess I could be completely wrong because you said there's about 40 hours worth of content in this game, and I
put 40 hours into it, and I haven't finished all the DLC because I'm on the Godmaster DLC, but
okay, I've put probably 11 hours into it now, 11 or 12. So we'll see, and I imagine doing the fights like the Coliseum and stuff probably take time and.
Yeah, I've racked up hours just doing that over and over because I punish myself.
I've seen some optional bosses, it seems like, as well. Some of the Dream Warriors that I've been fighting, they don't seem like you have to fight them, but I have been.
Yeah, well, you might as well because then you get the collectibles from it, the power of the Dream.
Yeah, and you get a hell of a lot more than you do if you go and get the trees.
I think my dog really needs to go outside. So
all right. Well, you go.
I think I'm going to do that and be right back real quick.
All right. I was wondering what he was doing because he kept looking up at the upstairs, being in the basement, and I just assumed that maybe his wife was up and killing people. No, you're too late for the OC remix. That already happened. Sean Capri's in the chat. Hi, Sean. I'm going to talk about Little Nightmares now, or Little Nightmare. Can't remember. Nightmares, more than one. Who knows? So I played this game, and I have beaten it now. It only took about 4 hours, and I love the atmosphere of this game. Very atmospheric. It's very dark. It has kind of a Tim Burton-esque feel to it to a certain degree. But only being 4 hours long, I mean, I guess I'm glad because there wasn't a whole lot more that they could have done with it. But you experience the lore through what happens in the background with Little Nightmare, Jason.
Okay.
And so there's these enemy types that you learn about. There's really only like 3 or 4.
Very interesting because that description would fit well for Hollow Knight as well.
Yes. Actually, they both have very oppressive and dark atmospheres, and lots of good sound design as well. Especially Hollow Knight. I couldn't believe for being like just stereo sound. It really sounds great. It's true. You have so basically it's just like Limbo or Inside, where you're just kind of experience a story by running left or running right, I suppose. And for the first couple of levels, it doesn't really describe, or you don't really know what's going on. It's just kind of you're just running for your life. But as you play a little bit more of it and you kind of get some more progress, you start to see that there's some weird ass things going on. And I don't want to spoil it, especially since it's a 4-hour game. A lot of people could just pick it up and play it. But to do so, you're basically doing it to experience the story. It is fairly vague. You're kind of left to your own conclusions about it. I've looked it up and tried to garner more information, and there is some DLC that kind of sheds a little bit more light into it, but I'm not interested in playing that type of game right now.
You're the kid from It, right? You got that yellow raincoat on.
A little bit, right? A little bit. I don't want to spoil anything, so but you do wear a yellow raincoat. That is true. But it's a delightful little game. I've talked to some people on Discord who are interested about it, and the problem is I think for like Nintendo Switch, it's like $30 or something like that. I would say for a 4-hour game. I don't often put
Hello Switch stacks.
Time as a monetary value. Sometimes you just whatever amount of value you get out of a game, it doesn't always depend on how much time is put into it. You know what I mean? I would have been fine with, for instance, the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 not being 60 hours long, but it's not like I'm happy that it was 60 hours long. So it's tough for me to recommend at $30, but like $12, maybe, if you're into this type of game. So I enjoyed it for what it was. Again, got it through Humble Bundle, so can't complain too much, I guess.
Right.
So yeah, those are the big games that I've been playing. I checked out some other things, but nothing that I really want to go into too much. But I do want to say, this has been staring me in the face when I go into the go to do laundry or anything, because I have my Xbox 360 copy of Lost Odyssey, which I thought for sure I sold when I was getting rid of my Xbox games, and now I'm like, man, maybe I should keep this because it's probably going to be worth money one day, because it's just one of the few examples of an Xbox 360 Japanese RPG. But anyways, I finished Altered Carbon finally after just like leaving it sit at episode 6 or 7. No, I think 6 for months on end. And I know you were surprised that I hadn't finished it, but
yeah, I was. I was all in when this thing hit, man.
I liked the beginning and I liked the end, but somewhere in the middle, when it started talking about him getting in contact with that group of people who was led by the girl that he eventually falls in love with or whatever. I don't know why, but it got...
When it does the whole backstory?
Yeah, when he's himself. I don't know why, but there was like one episode that moved too slowly for me, and I was just kind of falling out of love with it.
But it wraps up after you get through that, though. I feel like
my gosh, yeah. Episodes 7 through 10 were like way...
I'm really interested for season 2 with Anthony Mackie as...
I thought it was canceled. I didn't know there was going to be a season 2.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'll Google it while you do your...
Do the Googles.
Because obviously we know like there's that animated, thing that's coming.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Well, hopefully it didn't get canceled, because the world is very interesting, and I don't want to ruin it, but I will say that the bad guy has a very interesting motivation, I guess, that helped me to appreciate it as being more than just a hard-boiled noir detective story set in the future, because that's kind of a thing that's happening now. I feel like that combination you can find that in many places, whether it's book, movie, or TV. But along with that, the visuals are actually really solid too, and that continued up until episode 10. So it was really good. I really liked it. I'm glad that I finished it, because it's been sitting on it was suffering Q rot for a long time, and now I finished it and I feel good about it.
I really like Joel Kinnaman. These are news articles as from early as this month. Altered Carbon this is coming from Metro UK. Altered Carbon gets anime spin-off ahead of season 2 as Netflix injects huge money into Asian originals. So season 2 is not canceled, my friend.
Oh, good.
Still coming.
Awesome. Well, I'm back in it.
You are fake news.
I am, because I am uninformed, but I will still talk about things I don't know. So that's why I'm on the internet. This?
That's why you're on a podcast, right?
Exactly. I like Joel Kinnaman too, but I only knew him really from Suicide Squad, and that was not a very good.
You need to watch The Killing.
Oh, he was in he played in RoboCop. He did fine in that.
Yeah, he is RoboCop. I mean, yeah, fine with what he was given.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, considering his look, I'm not surprised that he's just kind of a action-esque hero, but especially in these last few episodes, I think he actually showed a range that is kind of surprising from him. I know he's in this new movie, The Informer or whatever, So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out for him. But yeah. Altered Carbon. It was good stuff. Let me quickly talk about the two movies. I'll try to get through them quick because I don't want to spoil them, obviously. They're too new for me to really talk about them from that point of view. I'll start with Ant-Man and the Wasp. So much better than the second movie. You might as well just give me back Ant-Man and watch Ant-Man.
I was going to say, I still haven't watched Ant-Man.
Watch Ant-Man and the Wasp and then go back and watch Ant-Man because the first one, while okay, it kind of suffers from the same problem as like Doctor Strange and some of the other ones where they're just kind of okay. You're like, I could take it or leave it. It's fine. It's not, too terrible, but it's also not blowing you away by its storytelling or whatever. So, and that was one of the movies that I watched on Sunday when I had the day to myself and I cranked everything up to 11. I said, I'm going to be blown away by an action movie. It was funny. The powers were used interestingly. My boyfriend, Paul Rudd, was in it. So I got to give it props for that, cause I love that guy. So it was just generally enjoyable. And I liked that. Now the other movie, sorry to bother you, was recommended to me by Mike, our friend Mike. Good friend Mike, apparently. You just called him good friend, and now you're barfing because he recommended the movie.
I wanted to make you feel good.
Well, he will come and make you feel good. You just got to give him money. That's how that works. Now, I had seen previews for this movie in the movie theater back when I actually used the Movie Pass, and it worked. That still did not get me informed or make me ready for what this movie was about to do. I don't want to go for more. I don't want to go more than that, but it was very good. It also deals with things that I personally have not had to deal with. Two of the big themes in this are one, it has a lot to do with the Black community and being, I guess, a Black guy who's looking for a job, and he starts to get promoted, and he kind of leaves behind the friends that he has that have like the shit job that he used to have, and I guess it makes him less real, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like he's struggling with being considered like middle management type under the thumb of the corporate world. And that's also another part of this whole story is you have like the Steve Jobs, Apple-esque corporate world where they can basically get away with anything they want because they make so much money that it doesn't really affect them in the long run. And those two themes kind of play out in the movie, but that's not only what this is about. And without going into detail, suddenly it starts to feel like you've taken acid or something because it gets weird.
I'm sold.
It gets weird, but in a way that I don't think anybody could be prepared for without me just ruining it for you. So just know that things take a really big turn.
I want to watch it.
But it's good. It is good. You just have to get used to the weird. Once you're used to the weird, you're like, okay, I'm okay with this. It is an exaggerated world as well. So that does help. It's not like it was serious the whole time. There is an exaggeration to everything that's happening, especially in the background while characters are talking or doing things. So it reminded me a little bit of Idiocracy in that sense.
Ooh, all right.
It was really good. It was really good. I can't say everyone will like it. My wife would have hated it for sure. But it was very good. I will say it was special in the sense that it didn't just tell a boring old tale. It took something and made it interesting for better or worse, I guess. Probably turned some people off, but I would have loved to be in the theater, man. When people who didn't know that these turns were coming would have been like, "What the hell am I watching?" So yeah, that was Sorry to Bother You. Very interesting movie.
All right.
Glad I watched it. I had a double feature day on Sunday.
Ooh.
I knocked them both out. Said, "Listen, Netflix DVD service that nobody uses. I am going to What the hell? I am going to watch these two and then send them back
I
to you
am going to awkward
as soon
pause.
as possible.
What the hell?
I got a USPS thing confirming that my delivery is confirmed for 16 minutes ago. Pretty sure I didn't have a package delivered to me 16 minutes ago at 10 o'clock. That'd be interesting.
I don't know.
I guess I'll have to go find out. Request date 11/19. Yeah, that was yesterday. Thanks a lot, USPS. That's a little slow on the uptake, friend. Gosh. Anyway, that's what I've been playing.
That's what you've done? All right. Lucas, I did some checking here, and it's the 27th of the it's the 20th of the month, and we haven't announced the Netflix station yet.
Lord. We're the worst.
So, which is supposed to happen in 2 weeks. So, does that mean we just take Kevin's selection? We watch that Christmas movie with
Well, when is
Kurt Russell?
When are we talking?
It'd be December 4th.
December 4th
Is
when we would talk about it?
Yeah.
Or is when it would be released? Wait.
That's when we record it.
I feel like it
2
should be
weeks from
closer to
today.
Christmas if it's a Christmas movie.
Well, the only problem is we're going to be after Christmas before we do a Netflixation again.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we moved Netflix from, because you said it would be the 4th.
Yeah.
What if we moved it to the 18th and did Netflixation on that, just to make it extra Christmassy? Give everyone a little time. Well, then, okay. What if we go, because his was the one with what's it? Who
Kurt
was
Russell.
It? Kurt Russell. I almost said Russell. No, Kurt
Snake
Douglas.
Plissken.
I don't know. Yeah. What? There's another Christmas one, so we should just put it up against those
Saint?
two. No, the one about she's like a princess or some crap.
Oh
It's just
God, that
really
sounds terrible
bad.
already.
Yeah, it's got.
No, I'm not watching. I'm not watching that.
Now you're gonna have Christmas Inheritance, the holiday calendar, Christmas Prince, Christmas with a View, Christmas in the Smokies, 48 Christmas Wishes, a holiday engagement, the Spirit of Christmas. There's more. I can keep going. Dear Santa,
I hate you.
Merry Christmas.
I'm
that sounds
committing the
horrible.
show. I'm
You can't
canceling
play
the
Christmas.
domain
Christmas
tomorrow.
Wedding Planner. The
Fluxtaposed
Princess
is done.
Switch.
Who
That's what I was
needs a
talking about.
co-host? You need a co-host on your podcast? Slide into my DMs.
I'm not done. Christmas Crush, The Christmas Project, Beethoven's Christmas Adventure, Santa Claus,
I hate
Puppy
you
Star
so much.
Christmas. Santa Claus, I'm running out. Oh my gosh, my head.
We have no grab bag tonight. Next week is a gaming episode, so stay tuned for that. And we're done. This episode's over. We're done with Fluxtaposed. So please check out patreon.com/Fluxtaposed for all your details on how you can help us do the best things on the internet with your support. And we have to say thank you to all our patrons, but special thanks to our arbiters of awesomeness, Kevin Austin, Kyle Heyman, Tyler Rowland, Tom Servo, Matt Knight, and our executives of excellence, Josh Bourboni, Dan Anthony, Edwin Callow, and Sylvie Renee. We thank you for your support.
We haven't heard from her in a while. I don't know if she's alive anymore.
She's alive. She's on the social meets. She's on the social meets.
As long as her bank account, the money keeps going through. That's
as long as those checks keep cashing.
Cashing money checks for free. What?
All right, we're going to go now. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. Fluxtaposed out. Goodbye.
Wow.